Now, we're going to look back, as I was mentioning, to the Australia bushfires because new research has found that the crisis killed and displaced 3 billion animals. That's 3 times worse than previously thought. This new report by the Worldwide Fund for Nature says it looked at the period from September to February. The WWF calls it one of the worst wildlife disasters in modern history. Here are more details on the findings. An estimated 2.46 billion reptiles were killed, 180 million birds, 143 million mammals, 51 million frogs. It's hard to comprehend, isn't it? Dr. Stuart Blanche from WWF was involved in the report.
A lot of animals, particularly the ones that live on the ground and that can't run or fly away, particularly for the catastrophic mega fires, they would have no hope to escape. Other animals can fly away or hop away, but even the massive fires that move so quickly and so hot and cause so much stress in the animals would have killed animals which did not even get burned. So it's quite a challenge as a biologist to think of all the animals that we love here in Australia being killed by these fires. It truly is a catastrophe for our wildlife.
Now, I'm sure you remember these fires. They affected nearly every Australian state during its summer. They were fuelled by record temperatures and prolonged drought. And during the peak of the crisis back in January, scientists estimated that 1.25 billion animals had been killed in New South Wales and Victoria. This new estimate, though, looks at the whole of Australia, and it can sometimes be hard to convey the scale of what happened. It's estimated the fires burnt through more than 11 million hectares of bush, forest and park. That's around the size of England. And looking at these kind of pictures, you can see the scale of the devastation. Homes were razed, some communities were devastated. At least 33 people lost their lives. Here's Dr. Stuart Blanche again.
These were not normal fires. These were not natural fires. Australia gets its fair share of bad wildfires, but these were made a lot worse by global heating. They occurred after years of drought, after record low rainfall, very strong winds, very low humidity. It was a nightmare for firefighters to try to fight. And so our amazing wildlife, like kookaburras, koalas, wallabies, kangaroos, parrots, wombats, echidnas, very few of them had any chance of surviving, particularly the mega fires, the ones that burnt 1 million hectares and burned at such high temperatures. Animals and people died well in advance of the fires just because of the radiant heat.
Of course, there were huge efforts to save wildlife. You may well remember these pictures from November, which went viral. This koala, called Lewis, was plucked from a tree in New South Wales and taken to an animal hospital. Sadly, though, he didn't survive. And this video from Kangaroo Island was viewed more than 1 million times. Rescued koalas were put in cars and even in car boots and taken to shelters. But an estimated 25,000 koalas died just on that island. While hotter, drier conditions are worsening Australia's fire seasons, the long-term trend towards hotter and drier weather is directly connected to climate change. Professor Chris Dickman from the University of Sydney coordinated the WWF study. Here he is saying what Australia may expect next summer.
We will be getting big fires again in the future. Fortunately, it looks as if this coming fire season won't be quite as bad, simply because there's been a lot of winter rainfall and a lot of the country that might otherwise have burnt has burned already in the last fire season. But nonetheless, in the years to come, the similar confluence of conditions that brought about the last fire season, that is a very long run of hot conditions, a very dry year, the driest and hottest year on record in Australia. If we get more runs of those sort of conditions and then fire weather to top it off, the conditions are likely to be set for further mega fires.